There are three main theories for an explanation as to why there is water present on Earth. The first theory consists of the idea that meteorites brought water to the Earth. The similarities between the water on the meteorites and the water on Earth are proof that there is a possibility that water was brought to the Earth through external materials. Many scientists suggest that the asteroids and the gases left over from the Sun's formation were the source of the water on Earth. The second theory consists of the idea that water was degassed from the Earth via volcanoes. The evidence brought to the table in this theory explains that water is stored in Earth's mantle in the form of hydroxyl groups within minerals. So the volcanoes may have brought those minerals to Earth's surface and therefore set the hydroxyl groups free to form bodies of water. The last main theory for why water is on Earth explains that scientists believe that 10% of water on Earth, that being fresh water, was brought to Earth via comets and other extraplanetary sources. This explanatory video will explain in depth of how these theories came about and coordinate with present Earth's water makeup. Each theory has positives and negatives about whether the ideas cause issues with the evolution of Earth or if the ideas line up flush with the aging of the planet.
I'm Taylor Sackett, and today I'm going to be talking about our first theory for water on Earth. That is carbonaceous chondrites and how they are the most likely theory for water on Earth. To begin, what is a carbonaceous chondrite? Well, carbonaceous chondrites are meteorites with water found in their structures. This water is more significant than that of others. During the heavy bombardment period, Earth was showered with many asteroids, comets, and meteorites. Many of these were carbonaceous chondrites. According to Lecture 8, the significance of this is that the carbonaceous chondrite not only has more water in its structure compared to other meteorites, but its water was also found to reflect that of the composition of the ocean. NASA tells us that scientists can look at ratios of water and compare Earth's oceans and meteorites. They compare regular H2O with HDO, or heavy water. Lastly, the Smithsonian tells us it is also proposed that gas and asteroids left from the formation of the Sun could explain Earth's water. The remnants of the formation contain mass amounts of hydrogen, which is imperative for water. Research suggests that on Earth, about 1 in every 100 H2O molecules contains molecules from this time period. Overall, this is an accepted theory and is one of the most likely and common theories. This is my works cited, and thank you so much.
Hi, this is Calvin, and I'll be covering our second theory about the origin of water, which is the volcanic theory of water. What does this theory suggest? The volcanic theory of water suggests that water existed inside the rocks that made up the Earth itself in the form of hydroxyl groups, and was then brought to Earth's surface via the process of degassing. So, what is degassing, and how does it relate to the origin of water? Degassing is the process when the rocks in Earth's mantle are melted by magma, and the water inside those rocks is also dissolved into the magma. Then, as the magma rises towards the surface and is expelled via volcanoes, water is released and emitted as vapor into the atmosphere. Then, as the water continues to cool in the atmosphere, it precipitates as liquid water into the oceans, or in the case of 4 billion years ago, into the basins that would one day be the oceans. With this mechanism, water from very deep within the Earth can be degassed to the surface. So, where does this theory stand in terms of being accepted? Overall, it's a very accepted theory. There are many studies that support the volcanic theory of water, such as a study done in 2016 by geoscientist Mederic Palat that found water as deep as 660 kilometers below the surface. As for cons to this theory, there really aren't any, hence the overall acceptance as a plausible theory for the origin of Earth's water. That's all from me. Thank you.
So the next theory we're going to talk about in terms of how the Earth got water is extraplanetary sources. So this refers to comets, planetesimals, and other things in the atmosphere that impacted the Earth. So the general theory and hypothesis is because comets and asteroids are known to harbor significant amounts of ice, scientists over the years have used isotopic analysis to theorize that about 10% of the water on Earth has actually originated from extraplanetary sources that were brought to the Earth itself. So some of the pros of this theory that make it seem very susceptible is that there have been identical isotopic distributions on Earth. So Vesta is one of the largest objects in the asteroid belt and has a heavily cratered surface, which suggests a violent past of collisions. And then there were some scientists that found that the distribution of Vesta is very similar to ocean water on Earth. And then in looking at comets, there was this comet that was found to have similar ratios of deuterium and hydrogen as those found on Earth. And so therefore, extraplanetary sources show great promise of being the source of Earth's water supply based on similarities in molecular makeup. So some of the cons of this theory is that the ratio of water made from deuterium to water made from only hydrogen on comets is different from Earth. And after sampling that, some of them have proved that it could only be a maximum of about 10% of Earth's water originating from comets or asteroids or other atmospheric like materials. But recent studies have shown that the Earth's probable retention of water during formation is the main source of water on Earth. And then also comets and asteroids were unlikely to be able to tap into the Earth's mantle, which is where a lot of arguments have been made of where the Earth's water came from, just solely based on their impact itself. So those are some of the theories for that point of the theory.
So we have discussed the three main theories on how water on Earth came to be. To recap, those theories are 1. Through carbonaceous chondrites, which is backed up by the signatures found in the Jack Hill zircon in Western Australia. The second theory being volcanism, meaning water was degassed from deep inside the Earth's mantle. And the third theory being through extraplanetary sources, meaning comets or other formations that would have crashed into Earth and brought water in the form of ice. To conclude, we wanted to talk about where these theories stand in terms of acceptance. All three of these theories are very possible, but the first theory has the most consensus among scientists. Around 95% of scientists agree that water came from carbonaceous chondrites, which were originally made up of the meteorites that built up Earth early in its formation. The second two theories are still in the discussion, but there's not as high of a percentage of consensus as the first theory has. But this does not mean that future research could change this whole discussion entirely. As mentioned in lecture, 2012 research done on the Hartley 2 comet brought back the theory on extraplanetary sources back into the conversation. There is also the possibility that not one single theory accounts for all of Earth's water. It is very possible that multiple of the theories happened in order for the Earth to have as much water as it does. 70% of the Earth is covered in water, so that means a lot of it. Thank you so much for listening to our project on the origin of water on Earth.